For most of human history, there were no bedrooms, no dating apps, no weddings with flower decorations and choreographed dances, no awkward first messages, no perfumes, no restaurants, no relationship advice videos, and yet, somehow, your ancestors still managed to meet each other, fall in love, have children, and perpetuate the human species for over 300,000 years. Which raises a strange question. How exactly did ancient humans mate? I don't mean the biological mechanics, that part is obvious. The real question is how people actually found partners, attracted each other, built relationships, and raised children in a world completely devoid of modern society. Because if you dropped a modern person into a hunter-gatherer tribe 40,000 years ago, one of the first things you'd notice is how completely different the entire concept of romance was. Let's start with something important. For most of our history, ancient humans did not live in giant civilizations. Agriculture only appeared around 12,000 years ago. Before that, humans lived in small bands, usually between 20 and 50 people, constantly moving across landscapes in search of food, water, and shelter. Your entire social universe was tiny. You knew everyone personally. Every argument, every friendship, every breakup, and every attraction happened in front of the whole group. There was no disappearing after an awkward interaction, no ghosting. If you embarrassed yourself around someone, you still had to wake up next to them, sitting around the exact same fire the next morning. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have found that these groups are extremely social. People spent nearly the entire day together, walking together, hunting together, sharing food together, which meant attraction worked very differently. Today, humans often meet through carefully managed situations, dating profiles, curated photos, short text conversations. But ancient humans saw each other constantly in everyday life. They watched how someone handled stress, how generous they were with food, whether they were lazy during long migrations, whether they panicked during danger. In small tribes, reputation was everything. And strangely, humor may have mattered more than muscles. Anthropologists have consistently found that in hunter-gatherer groups, good storytellers and funny people are considered highly attractive. A famous study of the Agta people in the Philippines found that skilled storytellers are highly sought after as mates, and actually tend to have more children than others in their group. Think about that for a second. The ability to make people laugh around a fire may have helped shape human evolution itself, and this makes perfect sense. In a world without money, cars, or status symbols, personality became much more visible. You couldn't hide behind possessions, because nobody really owned much. A hunter-gatherer camp might contain fewer objects than your kitchen. So, people judged each other based on behavior. Who shared meat after a hunt? Who stayed calm during danger? Who comforted crying children? Who made everyone else feel safe? These traits mattered because survival depended on cooperation. A single human alone in the prehistoric wilderness would likely die very quickly. Humans survived because the group survived, and that changed mating completely. Modern romance focuses heavily on two individuals. Ancient relationships, however, were communal. Your partner wasn't just joining you, they were joining your group. Anthropologists studying the Hadza people in Tanzania noticed something interesting. Couples rarely spent much time alone together compared to modern standards. Most daily life happened around other people. Privacy barely existed. Imagine trying to flirt while surrounded by 30 relatives holding spears and cooking roots over a fire. Now, here's where things get more interesting. For a long time, scientists assumed prehistoric humans were extremely violent and competitive over mates. Movies often portray cavemen smashing each other with clubs over women, but real evidence paints a much more complicated picture. In many hunter-gatherer societies, women actually had far more freedom in choosing partners than we once assumed. Among the Juhawansi people of southern Africa, women frequently rejected men they disliked. Divorce was common and socially accepted. If relationships became unhappy, people simply separated without much drama. This reveals something important about ancient human mating. Humans evolved as pair-bonding creatures, but not necessarily lifelong pair-bonding creatures. Ancient relationships were flexible. Some lasted decades, others didn't. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. Raising human children is incredibly difficult. Human babies are unusually helpless compared to other animals. A newborn horse can stand within hours. A human baby can't even hold its own head up properly. Human children take more than a decade to become independent. That is an enormous investment. So, humans evolved emotional attachment mechanisms to keep parents together long enough to raise children. Love isn't just poetry and songs. It's biology trying to prevent two exhausted humans from abandoning each other while carrying a screaming toddler across prehistoric grasslands. And children changed everything. One of the biggest differences between humans and other primates is something called cooperative breeding. Human mothers did not raise children alone. Grandparents helped. Older siblings helped. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone helped. Anthropologists sometimes call humans the ape that needs a village. This may also explain why human females experience menopause, something incredibly rare in the animal kingdom. Evolutionary biologists call this the grandmother hypothesis. Grandmothers became so vital in helping raise grandchildren that living longer after their reproductive years actually benefited the survival of the species. Your grandmother may exist today partly because prehistoric childcare was a team project. So what did ancient humans actually find attractive? Some things were surprisingly familiar. Health, strength, and confidence mattered. But beauty standards were also shaped heavily by survival. Body fat, for example, was viewed differently depending on food availability. In environments where starvation was common, having some body fat signaled health and survivability rather than laziness. Scars carried social meaning too. A scar from hunting could signal experience and bravery instead of imperfection. Even smell mattered more than it does today. Modern humans constantly erase natural smells using deodorants, soaps, and perfumes. Ancient humans did not. And humans are far more sensitive to smell than most people realize. Studies have found that people subconsciously prefer the scent of potential partners with immune systems different from their own. This increases the chances of having healthier offspring. Your nose has been quietly helping you choose partners this entire time. Now, imagine a prehistoric night. A group gathered around a fire under a completely dark sky filled with stars. No phones, no electricity, no traffic sounds, just conversation, laughter, insects, and flames crackling in the darkness. This was where much of human bonding happened. In fact, anthropologists believe fire transformed human relationships. Before fire, nighttime was dangerous. Early humans likely stayed quiet and alert to avoid predators. But fire created safety. Suddenly, humans had extra hours together after dark. During those hours, people talked, stories emerged, jokes emerged, music emerged. Romance, in many ways, evolved beside campfires. Ancient humans probably saw each other age much faster than we do. Life was physically brutal. Constant walking, injuries, childbirth without medicine, droughts, and hunger. A 35-year-old hunter-gatherer likely lived significantly older than a modern 35-year-old office worker. And yet, older individuals were deeply respected because knowledge mattered enormously. An older person knew migration routes, dangerous plants, animal behavior, seasonal patterns. Competence mattered. Reliability mattered. Knowledge mattered. Over time, human mating became tied to something unusual: cooperation. Most animals compete primarily through raw physical dominance. Humans compete partly through social intelligence. Can you build trust? Can you maintain friendships? Can people depend on you? Can you function inside a group without causing chaos? These became survival traits. And they're still with us. Even modern dating quietly revolves around ancient instincts shaped tens of thousands of years ago. Confidence signals competence. Humor signals intelligence. Kindness signals reliability. Jealousy reflects a fear of losing an investment. Love reflects attachment mechanisms designed to keep families together. Underneath the smartphones, the megacities, and modern culture, your brain is still running ancient software. And maybe the strangest part of all this is that prehistoric humans were probably emotionally much more similar to us than most people imagine. They loved, they flirted, they got rejected, they felt heartbreak. They'd probably lay awake at night wondering if another person liked them back. Archaeologists have discovered ancient burials where humans were laid to rest holding each other. In some famous graves, evidence suggests flowers were carefully placed beside bodies tens of thousands of years ago. That means someone mourned them, someone cared enough to stop, grieve, and remember. For all our technology, modern humans are still driven by many of the same emotions that existed beside prehistoric fires under ancient skies. Because deep down, the human story has always been the same: people searching for connection in a dangerous world.